Welcome to Lotus Lane Daily. I'm glad you're here. Today's wisdom is for anyone going through something hard. You know that particular kind of dread when your boss sends a message that just says, "Can we talk?" and your whole body seizes up? When you spend the next 20 minutes trying to figure out what you did wrong, rehearsing your defense before you even know the charge? When you leave a meeting having said almost nothing because you have learned that speaking up just gives them more material to work with? Maybe it is the rolling of eyes when you make a suggestion, the pointed way they correct your work in front of others, the comment that sounds like feedback but lands like an insult. And when you react, suddenly you are the one with thin skin. Maybe it is more subtle. They just never seem to take you seriously. Speak over you. Assign your ideas to someone else. Treat you like an inconvenience they have to manage. Having a boss who belittles you is a specific kind of suffering because the power is so lopsided. You cannot just respond in kind. You cannot easily leave. You need this person for your paycheck, your career, your reference. So you manage, you shrink. You perform fine at the surface while something underneath quietly deteriorates. What it does to your head. The most insidious thing about a boss who belittles you is what it does to your own perception of yourself over time. At first, you dismiss it. They are having a bad day. You catch it in a different light, and maybe it was just blunt feedback. But the pattern repeats. And patterns teach us things whether we want them to or not. Slowly, your confidence starts to erode. You second-guess your work before you send it. You rehearse what you are going to say in meetings and then do not say it anyway. You start agreeing with the voice in your head that sounds suspiciously like your boss, the one that says you are probably not as good as you thought. That is the real damage. Not the individual moments of belittlement, as awful as those are, but the slow rewriting of how you see yourself. There is a line from a collection of philosophical letters that is worth sitting with. The most powerful thing you can do for another person is believe in them, even when they cannot believe in themselves. Your boss has failed at this completely. But the question is whether you are going to fail at it too, whether you are going to stop believing in yourself because they have modeled that for you long enough. Understanding what is actually happening. When a person in authority systematically makes those below them feel small, it almost always tells us something about that person, not about the people they target. Consider what consistent belittlement actually requires, paying attention to your performance specifically to find fault in it, choosing language designed to diminish rather than improve, doing this in front of others for maximum effect. That is not management. That is something else entirely. It is the behavior of someone who feels threatened or who learned this pattern from their own early experiences of authority or who confuses power with strength. Real leaders, people who are genuinely confident in their own ability, do not need to make others feel inferior. They do not feel better when you feel worse. The math does not work that way for them. None of this excuses the behavior. But understanding it can be the difference between taking it personally and not. Your boss's cruelty is information about your boss, not a verdict about you. What you can actually do. Stop performing confidence for their benefit and start protecting it for yours. When you are being belittled regularly, there is a temptation to try harder, to produce better work, to be more agreeable, to finally earn their approval. This almost never works, because their behavior is not really about your performance. What you actually need to protect is the story you tell yourself about your own competence. Keep a private record of wins, things that went well, feedback you got from others, problems you solved. Not to show them, for yourself. When the belittling voice gets loud, you need evidence on the other side. Create distance wherever you can without making it obvious. This means reducing unnecessary exposure. If meetings can be done by email, use email. If you can report results in writing rather than in person, do that. Limit the surface area for them to work with. This is not avoidance, it is management of a difficult environment. Every professional has to learn to manage their relationship with a difficult boss to some degree. There is no shame in doing it strategically. Build your credibility laterally. Your boss controls a lot of your professional reality, but not all of it. Colleagues, clients, other managers, people in adjacent teams, these relationships exist outside your boss's orbit. Invest in them. When your boss is your only reference point for how others see you, you give them enormous power. Spread that weight across a wider network and you become less vulnerable to any one person's opinion of you. Name it, at least once. I am not saying trigger a confrontation, but there is sometimes value in stating calmly and privately that a specific comment or behavior was not okay. When you said X in front of the team, it made it hard for me to do my job well. I want us to work well together. Not an ultimatum, not a complaint, just a clear statement. Sometimes this shifts something, sometimes it does not. But saying it out loud changes something in you, even when it changes nothing in them. Decide what your actual limit is. Not what you think you should be able to tolerate, what you actually can. Some situations can be navigated around, some cannot, particularly when the belittlement is severe, public, or escalating. There is no gold medal for staying in a role that is gradually destroying your confidence and your health. Deciding to leave is not weakness. It is sometimes the clearest-eyed thing a person can do. The longer view. Here is something worth keeping in mind for the long game. A line that has stayed with me. Those who win in the end are those who never gave up. The people who belittle others rarely build anything lasting. Their relationships fracture. Their teams underperform. Their best people leave. The short-term power they have over you is real, but it is not permanent. The people who survive having a bad boss, who come out the other side still intact, still capable, still fundamentally believing in themselves, are the ones who figured out how to protect their inner life, even when their outer situation was hard. That is the real challenge. Not fixing your boss, which is likely not in your power, but refusing to let them become the author of how you see yourself. You are more than this job. You are more than this person's opinion of you. Tonight, whatever you do with the job itself, start there. That's the wisdom for today. If something here landed for you, share it with one person who might need to hear it too. Take it slow. I'll see you tomorrow on Lotus Lane Daily.